Hello everybody, Billy here. Welcome back to another episode of the Making of Small Boat. As you can tell, I'm slightly in a new, well not slightly, I'm completely in a new space. Basically what happens is every year, almost, there's 2 weeks over the summer, well in July, August, where London gets really warm. And unfortunately my space upstairs doesn't have windows, so it's boiling hot. So I've moved all my stuff, almost all my stuff downstairs to kind of the kitchen / living room area. So that's what you're seeing in the background now. So yeah, welcome back to another episode. I know the previous episode was a bit long, so hopefully I'll keep this one short if I can do that in the edit. But if you're new to the channel and you're not quite sure what you're about to watch, let me get you up to date with what we're doing here. Basically, there's a community called The Noisy Brain. They focus on creating a safe space for people to talk about mental health. And also another great thing they do is they collect writings by members of their community. So they have writers, poets, they've got people writing short stories, they've got a variety of different types of writings, and they bring them in touch with musicians, and basically musicians take those writings and make them into songs. And that's what I've done for this song as well. I chose a poem by one of the members of the community that goes by Nick K, and I really liked it. I've talked about the poem in I think it was episode 2, so I'll link that somewhere here if you want to go check it out if you've not watched that already. This point in the process, we've just recorded the guide track, so that was the previous episode, which was massively long, I know, but you could jump around and check out the different instruments and parts that I recorded. And basically what I didn't include in the previous video is the part where I sat down and did the vocal comp and the mix session, because they were going to be a bit long, and I don't think that many people would be interested in that side of things. If you are, let me know in the comment section, maybe I'll upload it as a separate video. But basically what I went ahead and did, once I finished recording the all the parts for the guide track, I went ahead and did a vocal comp. And basically what that means is that you take all the different takes that you did for like the verses and the choruses, because you don't just record one single take unless you're Celine Dion and you can do one take wonders. But yeah, you basically select the best parts and you glue them together and you create like a final stem or final track which sounds the best it can sound in my case. But yeah, I went ahead and did that, and once I was happy with how the vocal sounded, I went ahead and did a little rough mix of the guide track. Basically I just made sure that everything was balanced, things were panned left and right so it wasn't at all center and you could hear the parts clearly, like guitars were a little bit off to the left, vocals were in the center. I did some little processing on the vocals just because it was a bit jumpy and a bit all over the place, so I just made sure I ended that. And other than that, I don't think I did any more processing. It was very minimal and just enough to make sure that the track was sounding clear, so then when the drummer received it, they could listen to it and understand where the dynamics were and what tempo and all that stuff. Also, I made sure that everything was in time. There were a few things I think that I needed to shift just a little bit because they were either too ahead or too behind in terms of the rhythm of it. But other than that, that was pretty much the entire process. Once that was all done, I sent it off to the drummer, who we're going to talk about right now. So the drummer that I've been using lately is a guy called Chris Castellitto. He's a London-based session drummer and music producer, and the great thing with him is that he's got his own studio space, which nowadays I can't stress how life-saving it is to have somebody who has their own space and you don't have to go ahead and book like an 8-hour day studio time. Although I love being in the studio and I wish I could do that every day, all day, sometimes when you're on a budget it helps to just have people that have their own space, and it's a little bit more affordable than booking studio time. So that's the great thing with Chris. He's got a really nice setup. He's done a good job setting that all up and getting the sounds that he wants. Chris and I met for the first time back in 2014 when I first moved to London, and we stayed in touch for a little bit, but then kind of lost touch because we were obviously doing our own thing. And then over the pandemic, I started seeing his website pop up, which is the Record Drums Online. I've linked it in the description, and I was like, oh yeah, this looks pretty cool, and I know that guy, you know, I know Chris. So we started talking a little bit again, and then when I moved back to London after the lockdowns and all that stuff, I messaged him and asked him to play drums on a track which is not this one, a previous track. And I really love the process. He's got an amazing process. Just a quick side note, if you want to know more details about Chris and what he does and his services, you can check the links in the description down below. But also, he was kind enough to be a guest on our podcast, Beat Around the Music podcast, where we talked about his earliest memories of music and kind of his journey to where he is today. So I've linked that in the description as well if you want to check it out. That's all there. So as I mentioned before, Chris is a great drummer, and I'm so happy I found him again after all these years, because honestly, sending a track to a drummer and knowing that they can take care of the recording process and they know what they're doing, and then you receive back stems which are great, then that makes life a lot easier, the process of making music a lot easier, and also it's a little bit more affordable to do. So this is the second track of mine that Chris has recorded drums for, and he's done it enough times with other musicians as well, where he's kind of made the process as easy as possible. And this is basically what happened. So first I emailed Chris saying, hey man, I've got this new track, I need some drums, can you lay down some of your magic? I probably didn't say it as cool as I think I did, but that was the gist of it. And I also gave him a little bit of backstory on what I'm doing on the YouTube channel with the behind the scenes and the kind of capturing the process. So he gets back to me saying, hey Billy, sounds great, would love to be part of it, and of course would love to record drums, which was great to hear. So after the first communication, Chris letting me know that he's available to do it, we had a little bit of back and forth, and we talked a little bit about the track and what I was looking for. I sent him the demo and all that stuff. And the great thing with Chris, as I mentioned, he's done it enough times where he knows what questions to ask to kind of figure out what you're looking for. And one of the questions, like, do you have any reference tracks? So let me know if you agree with this reference track, but I chose The Brother by Matt Corby. Obviously I can't sing like Matt Corby, I wish I could, but the arrangement and I think the genre of that track fits the one that I'm working on for this track. So let me know if you agree with that. If you've not listened to the track, I think you can hear it in the previous episode, either episode 3 or 4. Yeah, let me know if you agree with that reference track, or if you've got any other songs in mind that it fits better. I'd love to hear your suggestions. So moving on. So one other thing that I'm always a bit hesitant when sending tracks to other musicians to record parts is that if I've got something in mind, like in this case I had the MIDI drums and I'd programmed the parts that I kind of heard in my head. So when I sent Chris the drums, I try to make clear that this is the kind of skeleton of the drum parts that I want, but obviously do your thing and then add your own personality. It doesn't have to be as gridded as what I've programmed. And he took that and he ran with it, and he did a great job. A couple days after I sent him the track, he got back to me with 2 versions of the drum part. One was closer to what I had programmed, and one was a little bit more free, a little bit more, I think, Chris. And this is what I love about giving creative freedom to musicians, is that they obviously have a different perspective of the track. They have not spent that much time with it, so they're more fresh. They come up with ideas, and obviously I'm not a drummer, so I don't, I'm not necessarily thinking like a drummer would. And what he did, he introduced some new ideas that I really liked, and I wanted to include in the final drum stem. So with the 2 takes that he sent me, I really loved the first half of one take that he sent me and the second half of the other take. So the main difference between the 2 takes was how it built up to the chorus. And in my demo track with the MIDI drums, the way I did it was like you would have the verse, but it would be very laid back. It would just be guitars and vocals, and then gradually the snare drum would show up, and then it would build up, and then it would go into kind of full-on drums for chorus onwards. So in one of the takes, Chris does exactly what I did in the MIDI programming, so he introduces the drums gradually, and I'll include an example, just a snippet of that right now.
I sailed the seas in search of closure. I watched the waves lap at the hull, and my heart's a compass in my hands. My eyes were bright, but my mind was dull. My mind was dull. So I grabbed the oars and gave a heave. Started to think, tried to believe. I rode and rode to a place where I could go.
And then in the other take, he did more of a build-up. So I'll include an example now, and you can kind of hear that it gradually builds up, a little bit more driven, a little bit more dynamic.
I sailed the seas in search of closure. lap at the hall. And my heart's a compass in my hands. My eyes were bright, but my mind was dull. My mind was dull. So I grabbed the oars and gave a heave. Started to think.
And as much as I loved that idea, I think I was too attached to the way I programmed it, and I was so used to hearing it that way that it fit and it kind of flowed a little bit better in my ears. But yeah, at the end of the day, we just mixed and matched, and I think we got a really nice take for the drums. And I think we also tweaked a little bit the intro. There was so if you listen to the track from the previous episodes, there's kind of like just a drum intro. And I think all I did was ask if we could make it a little bit more dynamic and bring it closer to what I had programmed, because it was quite specific. He took all the feedback that I sent him, did the revisions, and basically it just required one revision, which was great. Another thing that Chris mentioned to me, which I'm definitely going to try on the next track, is that he has the ability to do sort of like a live stream of the session. So you're in a call with him and you can on the spot hear what he's recording in real time, and then it's easier because you can just give him feedback on the spot and just get the take that you want. So I'm just mentioning that because it's remarkable what you can do online these days. It's just amazing that you can just jump on a Zoom call, listen to what they're doing, and then just be like, yeah, can we change that, and you're done. It's amazing. And Chris can do all of that. So if you're looking for a drummer, I would highly recommend Chris because he provides all of those services. So after all that, I got the stems. They're in the session. They're sounding great. I think I'm going to leave it there as just the update of where the track is at the moment, and rather than me going on about how amazing Chris is and how amazing the drums sound, I think I'll just let you listen to it. So we'll let the credits roll at the end, and I'll just have that as background music. Before we do that, I just want to say a big thank you to everybody who's been following the process and who has been sharing it on the socials. It's been great help. I really appreciate it, and I'm really excited to see how this track sounds at the very end. It's been a process, but it's been a fun one, and it's great that I can do it from the comfort of my home, which is great as well. And again, if you like this video and you want to stay up to date with the progress of the song, you know what to do. There's that like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Would love to have you on board. And yeah, let me know what you think of the song so far, if you know, once you listen to it at the end of the video. And yeah, until next time, take care.
Let me heal my soul in water. Let the salt rub against my wounds, and I hear the waves, they're calling out my name, but I'm not near, no, I'm not here. I sailed the seas in search of closure. I watched the waves lap at the hull, and my heart's a compass in my hands. My eyes were bright, but my mind was dull. My mind was dull. So I grabbed the oars and gave a heave. Started to think, tried to believe. I rowed and rowed to a place where I could go, and I focused on